Do you know what it feels like to constantly have a needle poking you, always having to watch the food you eat, or constantly worrying about what your blood glucose level is? Probably not, but this is what every type 1 diabetic must go through on a daily basis. The National Diabetes Information Clearinghouse defines diabetes as a disease of the metabolism. The pancreas either produces little or no insulin, or the cells do not respond appropriately to the insulin that is produced. Diabetes is the result of abnormal insulin production and or action, causing the blood glucose levels to rise. Type 1 diabetes is a lifelong autoimmune disease that has several symptoms, few unknown causes, many nutritional factors, one medicinal treatment, and many myths and statistics surrounding the disease. There are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Type 2, or adult onset diabetes, often occurs in adults over the age of 40. A first book for understanding diabetes calls type 2 a disease of the lifestyles because it is being linked with being overweight and not getting enough exercise. We are seeing more and more youth obtaining type 2 diabetes due to this. When you have type 2, your pancreas may still make insulin, but not enough, or the cells may not respond appropriately. People with type 2 can use diet, pills, and exercise to control their diabetes. They may never have to take insulin injections. Type 1 diabetes is often called juvenile diabetes because it is diagnosed almost all the time in young children. Type 1 diabetes is a lifelong illness with no cure. Type 1 is due to not enough or zero insulin being made in the pancreas because the body's immune system has attacked and destroyed the beta cells in the pancreas. Insulin is what allows sugar to pass into our cells to be used for energy. It also turns off the body's making of sugar. In type 1s, the sugar cannot pass into the body cells and does not stop the body from making extra sugar, causing type 1 diabetics' blood glucose levels to rise. A type 1 diabetic must always take insulin on a daily basis to live. How would you recognize the symptoms of a type 1 diabetic? There are some very strong symptoms, which include frequent passing of urine due to the fact that the sugar is so high in the blood and it needs to be released, so it does so through the urine, constant thirst, weight loss, always hungry, blurry vision, extreme fatigue. These symptoms will remain unresolved until the person is diagnosed and insulin has been started. Once the blood glucose levels return to a normal range, with insulin therapy, these symptoms usually resolve themselves and people feel much better. Sometimes people remain undiagnosed for so long that they develop dangerously high blood sugars, and when coupled with dehydration, causes a condition called diabetic ketoacidosis, which leads to an emergent hospital visit with IV insulin injection to bring blood glucose levels back to normal. Although scientists and doctors don't know what causes diabetes, there's some speculation that autoimmune, genetic, and environmental factors are involved. Most people with type 1 diabetes do not have a family history of diabetes. They figure that having certain genes can cause a person with type 1 to develop type 1, but scientists have only identified about 50 genes that raise the risk of developing diabetes. Exposure to certain viral infections or other environmental factors may serve to trigger abnormal antibody responses that cause damage to the pancreas where insulin is made. when the virus causes damage, self-allergy begins. Self-allergy is when a person's immune system thinks that something inside it does not belong and attacks that part of the body to get rid of it. It either causes the body part to stop working or have to be removed. For type 1 diabetics, this occurs in the pancreas. The body attacks the pancreas and causes it to stop producing insulin. Crystal Fredericks, a registered dietitian I interviewed with via email, says the most important aspect in diabetes nutrition is counting the carbohydrates in the food each diabetic eats. All fruits, starchy vegetables, grains, milk and yogurt, and sweet foods break down into glucose, or sugar, so they all provide a significant or countable amount of carbohydrate. Most diabetics will benefit greatly from eating healthy and living while counting carbohydrates to effectively control their blood glucose levels. Diabetics who choose not to make healthy decisions by ignoring insulin needs or by eating improperly can expect to experience the consequences of uncontrolled blood glucose, which can lead to blindness, kidney failure and dialysis, nerve damage, also called neuropathy, and possible amputations and cardiovascular events. All type 1 diabetics must take insulin to survive, but there are different types and ways to take insulin. The 3 different types of insulin are rapid acting, intermediate acting, or long acting. Rapid acting, which you can see here is coming up at a sharp point, is used to stop the rise of blood sugar after eating a meal. It can be mixed with intermediate acting insulin to be given before breakfast or dinner. Intermediate acting insulin, which you can see here has a sharp point and then slowly comes down, is usually taken twice daily with rapid acting insulin. It can be taken before bedtime to help with midnight blood sugar lows. Long acting insulin, which you can see comes all the way across, is usually taken once a day to give the diabetic a little insulin all day long. This person either takes rapid acting insulin 3 times a day with this, or intermediate acting and once and rapid acting twice along with that. There are 2 different ways diabetics can take insulin. Multiple daily injections is considered the standard of treatment in type 1 diabetics, which is with the syringe and vial, with people using long-acting insulin once a day and rapid-acting insulin 3 times a day for meal coverage. Insulin pumps, which you can see here, is the best technological device on the market to provide diabetics with insulin. The pumps provide a continuous stream of insulin to the diabetic. Insulin pumps are attached to the body by either a needle, string, and device that looks similar to a beeper or pager, or by a device that attaches straight to the body. Some pumps are waterproof, and some have touchscreen capabilities. While insulin pumps are very expensive, it provides the diabetic with the most accurate delivery of insulin and can best mimic the natural actions of the pancreas. The American Diabetes Association has spotted and identified many different myths about being a diabetic. Let's take a look at a few now. The first is people with diabetes are more likely to get colds and illnesses than others. That is not true. A diabetic will get sick just like anyone else. People with diabetes can't get tattoos. That's also not true. They are allowed to get tattoos if their blood glucose levels have been in a normal range. Diabetes is caused by eating too much sugar. That's not true in type 1 diabetics. It is caused by many genetic factors and environmental factors. In type 2 diabetes, it is linked with eating too much sugar, but it is not the main cause. People with diabetes can't perform certain jobs. Also, not true. The government laws, federal laws, prohibit people from being able to work a job. And people with diabetes need to eat a special diet. Last one, not true either. They can eat a healthy diet just like anyone else should as well. Lots of fruits and veggies, some grains, and some meats, different things like that. Follow the same nutritional chart as any other person. Most of you are probably thinking that you only know 1 or 2 people with diabetes, but the statistics show that this is a worldwide disease affecting many people. So, what are the statistics with being a diabetic? Approximately 26 million children and adults in the United States have diabetes. That's 8.3% of the population. Out of that 8.3%, 5% of those are type 1 diabetic. More than 1 in 10 healthcare dollars in the U.S. are spent directly on diabetes, and more than 1 in 5 healthcare dollars go to the care of people with diagnosed diabetes. How much does it cost us each year? Diabetes costs the United States $245 billion. $169 billion of that was direct medical cost. The other $69 billion is indirect cost. Absenteeism from work, doctor's appointments, being sick from your diabetes, acting up. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States listed on birth certificates. In 2007, diabetes was listed as the underlying cause on 71,382 death certificates and was a contributing factor on an additional 160,022 deaths certificates. That totals 231,404. This is a diagram of Texas and how many people have diabetes in Texas. And as you can see in our area in East Texas, we are bright red with a little bit of pinkish. We have a very high rate of diabetes here in our area. Today, diabetes will claim 200 lives and 180 limbs. 5,000 people will find out that they have diabetes. 7 million people don't know. 79 million are on their way to getting type 2 diabetes. It has cost us today $476 million in diabetes care. Type 1 diabetes affects my life because my husband Ryan has been a diabetic for 18 out of his 23 years of life. It is a constant struggle for him and for me to keep his diabetes in a normal, healthy range. The next time someone tells you that they're a diabetic, lend them a helping hand. You never know how much that will help them.
Oh, thank you.